Hello, 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 everybody. It is Friday. It is Friday, March 27th, 2020, and this is our ninth time that we've done St. Bernard's books with Mrs. Brickson. Whew, it's hard to believe. So this is number 9. And so we've made it through our full week. We made it through our full week. I see Aurora's joined. Oh, yes. We have Chain Izzy. Is that right? All right. Oh, yes. We got Sophia and Chico. Hello, you guys. One thing I did notice is that there's a little delay. So, because I don't know, because I'm out in the country, but with my internet, so like if people respond, it may seem like I'm late in responding, but it's just a little delay from when you see it, from when I see it. So it is so good to see all of you guys. There's Mrs. Air. That just popped up. Ah, she just said hi. No, I just posted a minute ago. I had received a picture of Nora with her spelling test, and I just love getting pictures. And if it's okay, I try to put things on Facebook so you can see each other and see your buddies and get a feel for what you're doing. I know, like, we're gonna wait just a little bit more. It's just 1 o'clock now. Oh, hello. Hey, thanks, Aurora. Hi, happy Friday. We're gonna wait just a little bit more, just so we can get some more people on before we get started. But this is something I'd love for you guys to do. Now, parents, if you're watching, a great thing to do is right now, Zoom is free. And I have been able to, let's see, I did a Zoom meeting, which is, being able to just use your phone or your computer. And the free service part is up to 40 minutes. I've done it with our faculty twice, with my parents and brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews, did that once. And last night I did it with some friends of mine. And you know what? I know that the teachers out there, some of the teachers are doing like Google Hangout or they're doing something like that. It really is nice and helpful and important if your kiddos could see each other and talk to each other. And so just kind of keep that in mind. There's my little plug. I know I really made me feel better too. I see the Wrath Boys are on. Okay, you guys, so we posted on the this Facebook site, the one with the parents and staff, the private one. I think it was Sam and Isaac Rath posted it with Wigs. I think the Wigs made it. A really cool, fun math game. So I encourage you, if you haven't seen it, when you're done watching today, scroll down and you can see their math game that they were doing. And so thank you, Sam and Isaac. Again, the Wigs. That was just the top of the cherry on top. I love that. So thanks, guys. Thanks for doing that. And, share some of your ideas too. So let's go ahead and get started. Of course, there's a little bit of slow-mo here. Mrs. Brickson's got to get ready. Okay, let's begin. Friday. Here we go. All right, so let's get started. Today we have another joke, and because it's Friday, and remember, since we're in Lent, even though, yes, we're still in Lent, I've got a good Lent-related joke here. Okay, what do you call a fish with 2 knees? What do you call a fish with 2 knees? A 2-knee fish. I thought that was pretty good. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that was really good. No applause. Yeah. No applause needed. Two knee fish. As a matter of fact, my husband today had a tuna melt, which was interesting. And I had a bean and tomato and cheesy quesadilla. Highly recommend. Anyway, so we have this, you guys, is our last chapter in this book, which is hard to believe. Our last chapter. And so we're going to be starting, we're going to be having like a couple really, really good picture books, possibly next week. And then we're going to be starting up another chapter book. I'm not sure what it is, but it's going to be great. And so here comes the Chapter 9. I just love this book, you guys. So far we have been hearing so much about the Herdmans and Beth Bradley, our narrator. But we've been hearing about them, and they've kind of gone through the whole year. At the beginning of the year to the end. And we've heard about some of the crazy things they've done. And, you know, how they drew on Howard's head, or how they convinced Eugene, you know, Hammerhead, remember that, with the walnuts? And so it's just, you know, they're just an interesting family. But we also know that they have a heart in there, don't they? You know, when they had Howard's blanket and Imogene was able to give, when they couldn't find Howard's blanket, Imogene actually gave her blanket to Howard. So I thought that was very, very sweet. So now we're coming near the end of the school year. I know. So we're going to get started with Chapter 9. Oh, I see Blomkers. Blomkers just joined in. I'm going to say some really, really high. Oh, we have Resteds. Yes. I see Gunnar and Reagan. All right. Very good. Oh, yeah. There we see. I see that. Here we go. Okay, instead, let's get my shout outs. Chapter 9. The last day of school is pretty loose, and they probably wouldn't even bother to have one, except for that's when you clean out your desk. If you don't have to clean out your desk, Mr. Crabtree could just get on the PA system any old day in June and say, "All right, this is it. Last day of school. Go home. Have a great summer. See you in September." But then everyone would go off and leave their smelly old socks and moldy mittens and melted Halloween candy and leftover sandwiches. Once, a kindergarten gerbil got loose, and it climbed into Boomer Malone's desk and died there. Nobody knew what to do with the gerbil because, like all kindergarten animals, it had a name and a personality, and we knew all about it from the notice on the bulletin board. "Our friendly gerbil is missing. His name is Bob. If you see Bob, please return him to the kindergarten room." So this wasn't just any old dead gerbil. This was friendly Bob. It didn't seem right to drop him in the trash, so Boomer took him back to the kindergarten room. We all thought that the kindergarten would stop whatever they're doing, hunt up a cigar box, write a poem for Bob, and have a funeral. But according to Boomer, they could care less. "Not even the teacher," he reported. "She took one look and said, 'Oh, that's not Bob,' and then dropped him in her trash basket." If there's a moral to this, I guess it was, don't show up with dead animals on the last day of school. You couldn't show up with live ones either anymore. We used to have a pet parade every year on the last day of school until the year Claude Herdman entered their cat. Remember the cat, you guys? The Herdman's cat was missing one eye and part of an ear and most of its tail and all of whatever good nature it ever had. So you wouldn't expect it to win any prizes in the pet parade. If it was your cat, you'd probably try to clean it up a little. You probably wouldn't whitewash it, that means paint it with white paint, and then spray it with super hold hairspray, which is what the Herdmans did. According to Claude, they thought it would win the most unusual pet prize. but it was too mad from being painted white and hairsprayed to do anything but attack. So the pet parade turned into a stampede of dogs and cats and turtles and hamsters and guinea pigs. Some kids held on to their animals, but most didn't. So there were cats up a tree and on top of the telephone poles, and dogs running off the street barking. And the hermit's cat in the middle of it all, tearing around the playground, hissing and spitting and shedding flakes of white paint. It took all day to get the cats down and the dogs back. And there are 2 hamsters that never showed up. So that was the end of the pet parade, and it left activities, which the teachers had to fill up somehow. We had spelling bees and math marathons, or we stood up and said what we were going to do that summer, or what we were going to do if we were king of the world. One year, everybody brought their collections. There were baseball cards and Cracker Jack prizes and bubblegum wrappers and belly button lint. The belly button lint came from Imogene Herdman, but she said she wouldn't recommend it as a hobby. I don't even collect it anymore, she said. This is the leftover from when I used to collect it. I guess that was the last straw, old belly button lint, because we never did that again. This year, there was no big surprise about what we would do on the last day. It was up on the blackboard. Compliments for classmates. And we each had to draw a name from a hat and had to think of more compliments for that one person. We've been thinking about this all year, Miss Kemp said. She probably knew that some kids had, but most kids hadn't. And on the last day of school, she went on, we're going to find out what we've learned about ourselves and each other. I finally thought about a word for Albert. Albert. Once you got past thinking that, you could see that Albert's special quality is optimism. Because Albert actually believes he will be thin someday, and he says so. Another word could be determined, or even courage. There were lots of good words for Albert, so I really hoped I would draw his name. I didn't. The name that I drew was Imogene Herdman. I had used up the one and only compliment I finally thought of for Imogene, patriotic. Patriotic, my mother said. What makes you think Imogene is especially patriotic? When we say the Pledge of Allegiance, I said, she always stands up. Everybody stands up, Charlie said. If everybody sat down and only Imogene stood up, that would be patriotic. That would be brave, I said. Well, she would do that, Charlie said. And I mean, she would do whatever everybody else didn't do. Would that make Imogene brave? I didn't really think so, but I had to have some more compliments, so I wrote that down. Patriotic, brave. 2 days later, I still just had patriotic and brave, while other people had big, long lists. I saw the bottom of Joanne Turner's list sticking out from her notebook. Cheerful, good sport, graceful, fair to everyone. And I thought, who that was. Maxine Cooper asked me how to spell cooperative and enthusiastic. So obviously she had a terrific list. Boomer must have drawn a boy's name because all of his compliments came right out of the Boy Scout rules. Thrifty, clean, loyal. I kept my eye on Imogene as much as possible, so if she did something good, I wouldn't miss it. But it was so hard to tell what was good. I thought it was good that she got Boyd Liggett's head out of the bike rack, but Mrs. Liggett didn't think so. Mrs. Liggett said it was all the Herdman's fault in the first place. Only Herdman told Boyd to do it, she said, and then Gladys got him out. So scared and nervous he couldn't even get out. And then along came Imogene. I could understand how Boyd got his head into the bike rack. He's only in the first grade. Plus, he has a skinny head. But at first I didn't know why he couldn't get it out. Then I saw why. It was his ears. Oh, you can see my hearing aid. I'm going to put my hearing aid back in. Oh. Boyd's ears stuck straight out from his head like handles. So his head and his on his handles. So his head and his ears were on one side of the bike rack, and the rest of him was on the other side of the bike rack. And kids were hollering at him and telling him what to do. Turn your head upside down, somebody said. Somebody else told him to squint his eyes and squeeze his face together. Boyd's sister Jolene tried to fold his ears and push them through, but that didn't work, even one at a time. Then she wanted half of us to get in front of him and push, and the other half to get in back and pull. He's got his head in there somehow, she said. There must be some way to get it back out. I don't think pushing and pulling was the way, but Boyd looked ready to try anything. Then Gladys Herdman really cheered him up. Gonna have to chop your ears off, Boyd, she said, but maybe just one ear. Do you have a favorite one that you like to hear out of? You could tell that he believed her. And if you're in the first grade with your head stuck through the bike rack, this is the very thing you think was going to happen. Several teachers heard Boyd yelling, "Don't cut my ears off!" And they went to tell Mr. Crabtree. Mr. Crabtree called the fire department. And while he was doing that, the kindergarten teacher stuck her head out the window and called to Boyd, "Don't you worry, they're coming to cut you loose." But she didn't say who or how, and Gladys told him that they'll probably leave just a little bit of ear in case he ever had to wear glasses. So Boyd was a total wreck when Imogene came along. She wanted to know how we got in there, in case she ever wanted to shove somebody else in the bike rack, probably. But Boyd was too hysterical to tell her, and nobody else knew for sure. So I guess she decided to get him loose first and find out later. Imogene scotch taped his ears down. That's like the clear tape, guys, clear tape. Taped down his ears and buttered his whole head with soft margarine and butter from the lunchroom. And then she just pushed on his head, first one side and then the other, and then it slid through. Of course, Boyd was a mess, butter all over his eyes and ears and up his nose. So Jolene had to take him home. She made him walk a ways away from her, and she told him, "As soon as you see Mother, you yell, 'I'm all right, I'm all right.'" And then she looked at him again. "You also better tell her who you are as well." Even so, Mrs. Liggett took one look and screamed and would have fainted, Jolene said, except for that she heard Boyd telling her that it was all right. "What did you think of that?" Mother asked my father that night. "She buttered his head." "I think it sounds resourceful," my father said. "Messy, but resourceful." "That's a compliment, isn't it?" I said. And I asked my father, "It's good to be resourceful?" "Certainly," he said. So I wrote that down, along with patriotic and brave. I thought we would just hand in our compliment papers on the last day of school, but Alice thought Miss Kemp would read 3 or 4 out loud. "Some of the best ones," Alice said, meaning, of course, her own. And Boomer thought that she would read the different compliments, and we would have to guess the person. So when Miss Kemp said, "Now we're going to share these papers," it was no surprise. But then she said, "I think we'll start with Boomer. Laverne Morgan drew your name, Boomer. I want you to sit right in front of Laverne and listen to what she says about you." Laverne squealed, and Boomer turned 2 or 3 shades of red, and all over the room kids began to check their papers in case they would have to read out loud some really big lie, or worse, some really personal compliment. Laverne said that Boomer was smart and good at sports, but not too stuck up about it, and friendly, and 2 or 3 other things. "And I like when you took the gerbil back to the kindergarten that one time," she said, "in case they wanted to bury it. That was nice." It was nice, I thought. And not everybody would have done it either. To begin with, not everybody would have picked up the gerbil by what was left of its tail, let alone carry it all the way down the hall and down the stairs to the kindergarten room. "Good, Boomer," I said when he came back to his seat, glad to get there. I guess because he was all sweaty with embarrassment from being told nice things about himself face to face and in front of everybody. Next came Eloise Albright, and then Luella, and then Junior Jacobs, and then Miss Kemp said, "Let's hear about you, Beth. Joanne Turner drew your name." I remember Joanne Turner's paper. Cheerful, good sport, graceful, fair to everybody. And I wondered who it was. It was me. "I know we weren't supposed to say things about how you look," Joanne said, "but I always put down graceful because I always notice how you stand up very straight and walk like some sort of dancer. And I don't know if you can keep it up, but I think people will always admire you. But if you can, I think people will always admire the way that you stand and walk." Hold on just a second. We might have some guest stars here who are coming in. We got my daughter Eleanor. And they're celebrating their birthday, so I let her have some lunch. If they're going to open the door. Hi. They can't get the front door open. Hold on just a second, guys. I'll be right back. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Hi, I'm live right now. You guys are all going to come say hi to my kids. Yes, you are. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Come here.
Wait a second.
Okay, come here, guys.
Wait a second.
They could get in. Okay. Take a look here. We are on Facebook Live at the St. Bernard's Kids. Here we have JC Novak.
Hi.
JC Novak. Kaylin Merkins. Remember Mrs. Merkins?
Really
Yes. And then it's because she's scratched down. And my daughter Eleanor. Get in here, Ellie.
No, I don't.
Yes. So her birthday's coming up in a couple days. And we let her have this one little special treat, and so they went and got lunch. Takeout.
Not meat.
Not meat.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason.
Yay, no meat. So anyways, you had a fish fillet.
I got grilled cheese.
You had a grilled cheese. What did you have?
Grilled cheese.
Grilled cheese.
We're just gonna share one.
Okay. Well, anyways, I'm almost done with my book.
Want me to
Remember
read it?
No,
I never read that book.
Keelan, do you remember this book? From 4th grade?
We never read it.
Yes, we did.
Oh yeah.
The Herdmans?
Yeah.
I taught her in 4th grade too. I didn't teach her.
Challenger.
Well, you moved here after.
But I do in fact go to this church.
Yes, they do go to. Okay,
Good job,
so
good
go.
job,
Get out of here. Get out of here. This is what you get with really, really giggly 15, 16-year-olds. Okay, so remember we're talking about the compliments for classmates. You know. Oh, Mrs. Dahlman says hi. Danielle Sean says happy birthday, Ellie. Okay. So remember, Joanne told her how she was graceful and told her all these wonderful things about Beth. It was really hard walking back to my seat now that I was famous for it. But I knew that if I did it now with everybody watching, I could probably keep it up for the rest of my life. And if Joanne was right, be admired forever. This made me feel strange and loose and light. Like when you press your hands hard on the sides of a door and then you walk away and your arms kind of float up in the air all by themselves. I was still feeling that way 3 people later when Miss Kemp said it was Imogene's turn. To do what? Imogene said. To hear what Beth has to say about you. She drew your name. Imogene gave me this dark, suspicious look. No, I don't want to. You're going to hear good things, like, Imogene, Miss Kemp said. But you could tell that Miss Kemp wasn't too sure about that. And Imogene probably never heard any good things about herself. So she wasn't too sure either. That's okay, I said. I mean, if Imogene doesn't want to, I don't care. This didn't work. I guess Miss Kemp was curious like everybody else. Imogene Herdman? Luella whispered. That's whose name you drew? How can you think of compliments for Imogene Herdman? Well, I had to think of one, I said. We had to think of one compliment for everybody. Luella rolled her eyes. I said she was healthy. I didn't even know what else to say. Luella wasn't the only one who wanted to hear my Imogene words. The whole room got very quiet, and I was glad now that at the last minute I had looked up resourceful in the dictionary. I put down that you're patriotic, I told Imogene, and brave and resourceful, and cunning and shrewd and creative and enterprising and sharp and inventive. Wait just a minute. Start over. Oh, honestly, said Alice, you just copied it straight out of the dictionary. They're all the same word. And, I said, ignoring Alice, I think it was good that you got Boyd's head out of the bike rack. Oh, honestly, Alice said again, but Miss Kemp shut her up. Of course she didn't say, shut up, Alice, but she just said, no one could really comment on what anybody else said because it was very personal and individual. That's how Beth sees Imogene, she said. Actually, it wasn't. Alice was right about the words. I did copy them out of the dictionary, and I wouldn't be the only person with 3 dumb compliments. I didn't exactly connect them with Imogene, except for sharp because of her knees and elbows, which she used like weapons to leave you black and blue. But now, suddenly, they all turned out to fit. Imogene was cunning and shrewd. She was inventive. Nobody else thought of buttering Boyd's head or washing their cat in the laundromat. She was creative, if you count drawing pictures on Howard, and enterprising if you count charging money to look at him. She was also powerful enough to keep everybody away from the teacher's room forever, and human enough to give Howard her blanket. Imogene was all those things I said she was, and more. And they were very good things to be, depending on who was doing the inventing or the creating or the enterprising. If Imogene could keep it up, I thought, until she got to be civilized, if that ever happened, she could almost be anything she wanted to be in life. She could be Imogene Herdman, president. Or Imogene Herdman, jailbird. It would be up to her. So at the end of the day, Miss Kemp said, which was harder, to give compliments or to receive them? And everybody agreed that it was really uncomfortable to have somebody tell you in public about the best hidden parts of you. Alice, however, made this long, big worded speech about how it was even harder for her to give compliments because she wanted to be very accurate and truthful and not make things up, she said, looking at me. I didn't make things up, I told her later, except maybe brave. I didn't know whether or not Imogene was brave. You made her sound like some sort of wonderful person, Alice said. And if that's not making it up, then what is? When the bell rang, everybody whooped out to get a start on summer. But Imogene grabbed me in the hall and shoved a magic marker in my face and told me to write down the words on her arm. On your arm? I said. That's where I keep my notes, she said. And I could believe it because I could still see something that remained several messages. Something, pizza and big rat and get Gladys. Get Gladys something, I wondered? No, probably just get Gladys. There's only room for one word on her skinny arm, so Imogene picked resourceful. It's the best one, she said. And I looked it up, and I like it. It's way better than graceful. No offense. She turned her arm around, admiring the word. I like it a lot. I'm going to get it tattooed. I didn't ask by who. Gladys, probably. Charlie was waiting for me in the corner, looking gloomy. He always looks gloomy on the last day of school, and it's always for the same reason. It happened again, he said. Leroy Herdman didn't get kept back. Leroy Herdman will never get kept back, I told him. None of them will. He's going to be in my room forever, he groaned. What am I going to do? Charlie, you're going to have to learn to be resourceful. How? He said. What is it? Asked Imogene. I said, I think it's going to be her best thing. And that's it. That's the end of the story. Oh, I just love this story. You know, I just really love how people can get to know another person and how they can really get to appreciate somebody else and look at things a little differently. And so just kind of keep that in mind, you know what I mean? And of somebody out there who maybe you're not super friendly with or whatever the case may be, or you want to reach out to, and maybe they're a little different from you, or they look a little different, or they sound a little different, or whatever. And, you know, think about what are the good parts about them. Okay? And so with that, I am going to, hold on. It is time to dance. So everybody get up. Stand up. This is the time to dance. Okay. Oh, I gotta find it on here. I gotta find everything. Okay. Oh, hold on. This one has a this one has a commercial. Hold on, I gotta skip that. Okay, this has got to keep reading. All right, everybody standing up, ready to go. Let's see if we can get this situated.
Gotta keep reading, 'cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book to read. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book to read. Pick up that book and turn the page. You'll never know just what you'll find. Information or fantasy, drama and art all make you smart. I know that you'll have a ball. Turn off the TV and just read them all. Just think, with a book you'll be so entertained. OMS has the best readers in FLA. Fill up my mind with nonfiction. Let's get the facts and use them up. Collaborate, graduate, feed your brain, and then we'll just keep on reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. Let's read some more. Reading and reading and reading, 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 reading and reading and reading, reading. Gotta keep reading, 'cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book to read. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book. 'Cause this book's gonna be a good book to read. I got my book. Do you have yours? Yeah. What is the title? And who's it by? Where is it set? Maybe in Spain. Is it fiction? Or is it real? Will it be happy? Yeah. Or maybe sad? Let's see what happens by reading on. Open that book, yeah, and have a look. It's an adventure, so keep on reading that book. Keep reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading. Let's read some more. Read it and read it and read it, read it, read it and read it and read it and read it, read it, read it, read it. Here we go, here we go.
Okay, go crazy, guys. Go crazy.
Easy go, easy go. Now we can't stop. Fill that shelf with those books. Wait till the top. Round and round, read those books around the clock.
Awesome. I thought it was pretty good with that flash mob. Look at all those kids. Isn't that kind of cool? Look at all of those kids. Anyway, I think now that I'm remembering it, I think we did this song earlier, but it's just but this way you got to see the big flash mob involved with that. So with that, I want you to go forth. Make a difference, you guys. Make sure you make a difference, you guys. All right, it's going to be 53 degrees tomorrow on Saturday. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see you again on Monday. Many, many blessings to all of you.